Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out today's video. Before I begin, I actually just want to say, or at least give a huge thank you to the community. Thank you so much for checking out my latest video, and if you haven't done so, I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can check it out. Without you and this channel, there wouldn't be this channel essentially. So thank you so much on helping me reach to over 100 subscribers. As of making this video, I'm now sitting at, I believe, 126. And I did not expect the last video to really blow up as it has. And it's all thanks to you guys. So honestly, thank you for coming together. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for leaving comments and your opinions. And I just want to say, like, we might not all agree with one another. And as I'm going through the comment section, I'm seeing a lot of personal experiences, both good and bad. And I just want to thank you all for being so vulnerable and transparent and upfront with your experiences. This is the whole point of this channel, is to create community, to have people come together and be able to converse with one another. I do want to make one point clear, though. I am seeing in the comments section a lot of frustration and a lot of anger, and rightfully so. I understand everyone's situation and everyone's story is different. But I want to be perfectly clear that this channel, or even my last video, is not a direct attack at women. Absolutely not. Being a man, obviously the video is really from a man's perspective and other men's perspectives. But I want to really make it clear that, women are equally going through tough times on dating apps just as much as men are. So we're not, perfect beings. We have our faults too. And dating right now isn't easy for a lot of people. And I just want to make that clear, because this is a channel where we welcome both men and women and people of different communities, whether you're gay, trans, what have you. We're all here to just talk about our experiences with dating. So I don't like to see hatred or negative comments towards women. I just think that there's just a lot of frustrations right now in the dating community. That being said, I thank you again for checking out my last video, and I hope you all stick around. I have great content coming out through the pipeline, and that will lead right into today's video, which I want to talk about, which is essentially boundaries. This is something I'm sure doesn't really need a lot of explanation. I feel like for the most part, most people know what boundaries are. And, then again, I'll probably get comments saying like, "Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't seem to know how to respect them or set boundaries." And yeah, you would not be wrong. I feel like most people understand the concept, but a lot of people don't know how to respect them or apply them in real life. And I think this is something that is extremely important in every type of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, family relationships, and even work life relationships. And I think this comes down to a lot of your understanding of yourself, right? I feel like boundaries sometimes might be harder to understand or set for some people that might not really truly have come to know themselves, or maybe they feel uncomfortable setting boundaries. And I really do think that being able to understand them and understand yourself is really truly when you'll be able to make it clear to people how you feel about something. And not only that, but I once you understand how to set your own boundaries, you'll also be able to recognize when someone is placing their own boundaries and being able to respect them. And this is a deep subject that can go all the way back to your childhood. and how the environment was at home with your parents, or maybe even lack thereof. Maybe you didn't grow up in a very healthy environment, or had parents that were there to support you and encourage you, or even respected your boundaries. And we can go so deep into this subject. And I think most importantly, if you're here on this video, if you've stumbled across it, if it came across your channel, the algorithm has either pushed it to you because you've looked at things and content about boundaries, or maybe you want to better yourself at being able to set your own or recognize people's boundaries, then this is definitely the right video for you. And this is the whole purpose of it. Now, I don't claim to be the master boundary setter. There's always room for improvement in every facet of life. And I just want to talk about my personal experiences with what it was like for me growing up, and not really being able to set my own boundaries. As I've talked about in my channel in other videos, where I mentioned what my childhood was like, and also being a notorious people pleaser. And when you are a people pleaser, what tends to happen is you put a lot of your own a lot of other people's needs above your own. You will, cancel your own plans if someone's asked you to hang out. You will, go above and beyond to do a favor for someone because you want them to be accepting of you, or you want them to recognize you and your value and your friendship or your relationship or what have you. I've met so many people along this single journey where, I've heard people sabotaging friendships because of a relationship they're in or striving to be in, where they will drop everything just to make this significant other happy, or even a friend, for example. And I can relate to these people because that's something that I did. I have a really, really good friend who's been there for me through thick and thin. Like, he's practically a brother to me. He is a brother, in fact. And, the amount of times I can count on my fingers where, I'd enter in a relationship, and I was never, cold or mean or anything, but he'd be like, "Hey, buddy, let's hang out." And I'd be like, I can't, my girl wants to do this. And a lot of the times I would cancel plans because I was like, I just want to be with this person. And a lot of the times I was doing that because I was afraid that this person might not be happy with me, that they might leave me. And that's just not a way to live. And I feel like when you're a notorious people pleaser, you don't really understand truly yourself yet, and what it is that makes you happy, because you're so focused on what makes other people happy. And sometimes there's also folks that have a hard time setting boundaries because they're afraid of the repercussion. They're afraid of causing ripples or waves in the water that end up causing friction, or they might not enjoy conflict. They might feel uncomfortable, and I know that's something that I felt. And ultimately, I have to really say that I think it's through personal life experiences, through pain, through betrayal, through just being kind of thrown to the shit, where you will really start to say, that's it, I've had enough, enough's enough. And you start wanting to change for yourself because you just can't sustain that type of lifestyle anymore. Your energy, your meter, your level of acceptance just starts to fade. And I don't want to say become more of a recluse, but you start becoming more aware of the people taking advantage of you. And for the most part, when you're looking at how to be a better person and set better boundaries, that's where the real work begins. And I am grateful for all the opportunities that I've had and all the people that have come into my life, the people that have come and gone. And they've shown me the errors of my ways. They've shown me how to be a better person. They showed me what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not willing to accept. And if it wasn't for all those experiences, I would not be where I am today. I would not be making this video nor this channel talking about this. So in many ways, I'm grateful for those people that have come and gone in my life. And I want to share some personal experiences when it comes to boundaries. Um, so for this channel, I use an alias for the purpose of this channel, mainly because as I've mentioned, I like to keep things separate. My personal life from my online life, and with good reason. I just feel, information is a commodity, and people will take advantage of that. And I feel a lot of people will judge. And there was one instance, actually multiple instances, where, I'm passionate about this. My goal here is to create this community and to create a channel that I feel like I can truly be myself on and talk to people and have people who really just need a voice and to be heard to come together. And I like talking about it. I love telling people that, hey, I have this project that I'm working on, and it's a YouTube, and who knows where it will go. If it grows to 300 subscribers or more, there, for me, it's about doing something that I love. And through my time of being single, more recently, I was vocal about the fact that I have a YouTube. Now, of course, out of curiosity, most people would be like, oh, that's interesting. Do you mind sharing? I would love to see. But because of the nature of this channel, where I talk a lot about, a lot of personal things, I share personal stories, and we go into in-depth topics that are kind of heavy. I don't necessarily feel comfortable, especially when you're dating, sharing this with someone that I'm not in a relationship with. It's not that I have something to hide. I just don't think that that's the best way for someone to get to know me, to watch 50 videos of me talking about why I think life is hard, or why relationships suck, or why dating sucks. And people will form an opinion. As many of you, all you see right now is me through a lens, but you don't see anything else beyond this room and my life that I've created for myself. You and everyone watching will create an idea of me, and you will form an opinion. Whether that's good or bad, that's entirely up to you. But imagine when you're trying to date, and now there's someone who is potentially interested in you, now making or forming an opinion and not being able to challenge what you're saying, but just being bombarded with all this information. That's not the way I want someone to get to know me. So, a personal experience that I had not too long ago was someone was very persistent on obtaining my YouTube, and I had reiterated, look, I understand that you're curious, but I just don't feel comfortable sharing it at this time. Yes, I would like to share it with you at some point, but just not right now. It quickly turned into a very awkward situation. The day we met, we actually were meeting at a shopping outlet. There's a whole bunch of stores and coffee and restaurants and whatnot. So we were planning on walking and just stopping somewhere that we see that we like. So I park right next to her, and she's outside of my car, and she says to me, hey, did you fix that problem with your car? And I'm like, what? What are you talking? Did I maybe say something about my car and I just don't remember? I'm like, I have no idea. And she says it again, and I'm like, I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Like, zero. And she gets in the car, my car, because we're going to drive to a little corner, and I was going to park my car. She literally shows me a photo of my car on her phone. At that point, that fight or flight kind of instinct kicked in. I just felt super uncomfortable. I was like, why do you have a photo of my car on your phone? So, to make a long story short, what she did is she searched my name through ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to find everything about me so she could find my YouTube. So I'm on private, and I use my name. It's an abbreviated format, but prior to me changing my name to a shorter form, any post before that will still show up with my full name, and I'm a part of some public groups. And this photo of my car was in a group, at the time was a Volkswagen, where I was asking or inquiring about something about the car. And so she found my socials through ChatGPT, and as soon as she told me that she did that to find my YouTube, I was automatically, immediately turned off. Like it was just an immediate no for me. And I remember saying, I'm like, let me get this straight. I've said no multiple times, but you decided to go beyond what I said just so you can fulfill your own needs and finding out more about me. Like, at one point, you're just crossing the line. And like, if that's something that you're going to do, might I suggest not telling the person that you did that? Because imagine if the roles were reversed for a second. Imagine I got into a woman's car and I showed her a picture of her car. And she asked me how she got that. And she'd probably immediately be going for the pepper spray. And I said, "Oh, I chat GPT'd you and I wanted to find everything I could about you." Guarantee you I would be blacklisted. I would be shunned. I would be on that Facebook community group in seconds, and I would be labeled as a creep and stalker. So as you can imagine, I was just extremely like, I was like, this is awful. And I've had it happen to me multiple times with other areas in my life. And this kind of goes back to my previous video where I feel like now with social media, people want to dig up as much information about you as possible in order to make an opinion or idea of you so they can see if they're going to be continued to have interest in you or continue the conversation. They will stalk to see like what is this person's friends like, what is their personal life like, I want to see if I'm going to like this person instead of actually taking the time to get to know this person. And I just don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that's feasible. But this is the new day and age that we live in. All this to say, I think, when you really get to the point where you know yourself so well, you know how to set proper boundaries and ultimately, really be comfortable with yourself and respect yourself, you're going to flourish in more ways than you can imagine. Not only just in your romantic relationships, but also in your family relationships and with your friendships. And I think that's the most important thing here, because so many of us from time to time, we just, we let people dictate our lives, and sometimes we don't feel in control. And I think in these types of situations, having and setting boundaries for yourself is extremely important. But not only that, being able to respect other people's boundaries, being able to see like, okay, this person is clearly feeling vulnerable and not feeling comfortable with this current situation. I think it's best that maybe I take a step back or we communicate effectively. And if we're at an impasse, then that might mean that we're just not compatible, or this might not work, or maybe we can compromise, especially if you're working with someone, or if you have a family member that you don't get along with. Find ways to be able to coexist in order to continue a relationship moving forward. And not a lot of people know how to do that. Not a lot of people feel comfortable doing that. And the whole purpose of this video is to really just kind of bring some awareness to that if that's something that you're really trying to work towards, to be a better version of yourself and to understand other people and understand yourself, you need to take the time. You need to take the time to really look at the things that have come into your life, the people that have come into your life, and why you've let those situations or people dictate your emotions or actions. What about those types of experiences in your past led you to accepting that? And you'll start to dig and start looking at your childhood and how you were raised and the things that you accepted. And that's where you start doing the work. That's where you really start understanding yourself the most, which is something that I've done in the last 4.5 years of being single, that really looking at why was I gravitating towards the people that I was gravitating towards? Why was I accepting the bare minimum? Why was I accepting being treated like crap all the time? And once you really start to see that and you start to really address the core issue, that's really when you're going to be able to start setting boundaries for yourself, and you're going to have much healthier relationships because of it. Because you're going to know what it's like to experience boundaries for yourself and other people. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray. But when you really take the time to understand and try to make a difference, that's where the real change is going to start coming. And I think it's kind of a superpower, really, at the end of the day, when you're able to just say, you know what? No, I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't want to continue down this path. When you're able to just set that boundary and be like, hey, you know what? This is not working. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, but I also think that comes just naturally with time. I think time more than anything, it really teaches you so much, and you look back and you're like, wow, the amount of crap that I accepted. And if that's something that you feel like you can benefit from, like in terms of setting boundaries, like I highly recommend you start looking at, attachment styles. You start looking at your love languages. You start looking at why, who you are as a person, the fundamentals, and take personality tests. Look at the types of people that you do well with and the types of people that you don't do well with, ultimately at the end of the day. But it's a healing journey. It takes time. It's not something that you're just going to do like that at the snap of your fingers. This has been something that I've been working on for years now. And healing isn't just a straight line. There's a lot there's a lot that needs to be done, a lot of work. And with the proper amount of energy and time, you'll get there. So hopefully this video was enlightening to you. If it was, please consider, leaving a comment down below, liking this video. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so, where I get to push out more content like this to folks like you. And I'd love to hear from you. What types of topics do you want me to cover and, cover in depth? So yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks again for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.